What's going on, you guys? So check it, right? When it comes to A-Reece, baby boy is usually the main topic of conversation, always being included in certain chats just because he was associated to certain individuals, which can sometimes lead people to misinterpret what is actually being said. So recently, Flvme came out to defend himself against slimes on Twitter because they believe everything he tweets is somehow related to Reece in some way. I mean, it all started when he first tweeted by saying, "Don't let people do anything for you because tomorrow they're going to spin and say they put you on." And a user responded to him by saying, "A-Reece made you." And he responded to that by saying, "Tell him to make another Flvme then." Now, in my opinion, guys, I don't think we can say Reece made Flvme. If anything, we can say that Reece put Flvme on, and we often confuse someone making you to someone putting you on. I mean, Flvme has his own sound, which is completely different to the sound Reece has. So to say Reece made him is false. Now, in their case, Reece was the bigger artist with an established fan base already after leaving Ambitious. So he essentially introduced Flvme to a wider audience than he had before. So when we see Reece working with Flvme initially, we're obviously going to want to know more about him and basically hear more music from him, all because we were introduced to him by Reece. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for everyone. I'm sure some of you knew about Flvme before Reece, but for the rest of us, like myself, we were introduced to Flvme through the Wrecking Crew. Now, going back to Flvme's initial tweets, he wasn't actually referring to Reece. If you guys missed it, a couple of days ago, Flvme had a young back and forth with his ex Ashley, where she claimed that she paid for parts of his career. Now, with Flvme obviously seeing that, he went on a bit of a Twitter rant going at her, whilst also having to defend himself from the Reece chats, where he continued by saying, "Not even my mama can make another me. Stop playing with me, please." And followed up by saying, "Why involve another guy in this shit that has nothing to do with them? Watch them go off in my comments again." So as I just said, Flvme wasn't talking about Reece with the initial tweet, but fans keep on taking his tweets the wrong way and assuming that everything is about Reece. And it's clear that Flvme is tired of having to deal with the Reece chats, especially when he's not even trying to talk about him. And I don't blame him for feeling that way. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, Reece and Flvme are done, and they've been done for almost 3 years now. So at this point, if he's tried to move on just like Reece has, I'm sure having to deal with fans who misinterpret your tweets and are always hitting you up in your comment section about the other nigga you're not even talking about, well, I'm sure it can get tiring and boring to deal with. I mean, he's constantly having to defend himself against slimes in the comment section, where one user responded to one of his tweets by saying, "Flvme, you're so hungry for validation and approval." Lil Wayne said, "Real G's move in silence like lasagna. Why do you gotta tweet to prove you're great? Why not just make good music and whoever press play, press play?" Flvme responded to that by saying, "Problem is these niggas like putting Reece in nothing that has to do with them." And another user came out by saying, "Is it only me who sees that he uses the boy and his old ex to promote whatever, and y'all tolerate him every time he tweet talking his shit?" And Flvme responded to that tweet by saying, "Sorry, mans ain't as important as y'all think he is to me. Y'all should stop finding ways of always trying to keep him involved in shit I say or do. It's not about him." And he tweeted something else recently referring to Ashley because of their back and forth, where he went on to say, "All I'ma say is it's been about 2 years." And another fan responded to him by saying, "Are you referring to A-Reece?" And he responded to that by saying, "Why do y'all think everything about me is about Reece? Leave that shit already." Now, my thing is this, right? Even though these niggas split up years ago, at this current moment, Flvme won't be able to escape the A-Reece chats and fans always bringing him up in conversations that don't involve him. Now, the best thing for Flvme to do is just simply ignore the comments that refer to Reece, because his biggest mistake is entertaining those comments, which essentially just add more fuel to the fire. I mean, guys, Flvme has said many times that he tried to reconcile with Reece, but Reece is not interested in doing so. So imagine having to deal with fans in your comment section always asking you about him, or constantly misinterpreting certain things that you say because it sounds like you might be referring to him. While I'm sure he's really tired of it because it makes it difficult for him to move on and have his name not associated with baby boy. But hopefully with time he'll be able to escape this type of treatment he's being subjected to. Now, moving on to another artist who seems like he can't escape A-Reece as well as Pretty Ugly. So as we all know, Casper Nyovest and Nug Music just had their boxing match this past weekend at Sun City. And because it was such a dope event, fans on Twitter were becoming matchmakers of their own, listing celebrities they would like to see fight each other. Now, Priddy came out with the following tweet saying, "Shout out to Nug and Cass, good entertainment, and it's good to see SA boxing get attention, exciting." And the user responded to him by saying, "Don't you want A-Reece?" And Priddy responded to that by saying, "No man, come on, y'all gotta stop with this now, let that man live." So I just find this funny, because what did Priddy expect? I mean, he sort of brought this upon himself when he decided to go at Reece subliminally in his tracks. I mean, you can't poke the bear and still play victim at the same time, because if there's one thing about Reece, it's that once you come after him, whether it be directly or indirectly, just know that the slimes are right behind him and they'll be on your ass constantly. I mean, just look at Flvme, for example. Now with Priddy saying, "Let that man live," I'm just gonna play devil's advocate, right? I understand where he's coming from, because recently we've seen a lot of people take certain lines or certain things that Priddy has said, even some things that Reece has said, out of context, and assume that they were going at each other. Now that's obviously going to translate into fans constantly bombarding you in your comment section about the other nigga, which I'm sure can get annoying to deal with, as you just saw with Flvme. But at the same time, as I just said before, what did Priddy expect? I mean, you make a track going at Reece with Handful of Dust, and granted you were going at other artists as well, but when you come at Reece in any way, it's like the slimes take it personally, and they will make it their mission to harass you with the Reece chats, even when you weren't talking about him in the first place. I mean, best thing for Priddy and Flvme to do is just ignore any comment relating to Reece, just like Nasty has resorted to doing, because otherwise you end up feeding into what the fans want. But you guys let me know your thoughts on this. Should Flvme and Priddy be a bit more direct in the things that they tweet about in order to avoid fans misinterpreting the things that they say? Or should they simply just ignore comments referring to Reece? Comment down below. Anyways guys, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to hit that like button if you found the content dope, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's on to the next one. Peace.